What, Eric the referee, what do you got?
One question I got for Tim later. Just what's it like in the locker room when your team's divided at the quarterback position? So
it's awful.
Did you watch? Did you watch last night? Did you watch your own show?
Yeah.
Did you hear what Jamal White was saying?
Yeah, I want to get his perspective too because he's lived it. So we'll hear that in a little bit later.
All right, now let's go to Kenny Rhoda.
Scott, go ahead. We'll get to Scott. Scott's a good dude. I want to talk about what he's saying too because he's going, well, the players see the completion percentage. They don't care about that. They know who's running the plays right and wrong. They know who's showing up and who practices and who's there late and who's there early and who gets. That's what players care about. They don't care about completion percentages. Do they?
Quarterback rating, do you think they care about that? No.
Joe Thomas can't even break down a quarterback rating, but he can tell you who he trusts.
And he can probably tell you what running backs aren't giving him any help on a day when he looks absolutely
well. Whose fault
turned
is it?
around?
We're going to because it's a great point. But is it the Browns' offensive point? Because Joe Thomas has been so damn good that he doesn't need help? Because he needs help sometimes when they call plays, and they don't help him. So whose fault is that?
I saw running backs, and I saw a fullback yesterday that didn't throw a block many times yesterday. How can you be a fullback that doesn't
not
block?
Hit anybody?
You should just go back to the locker room. If
really
you're a fullback and you don't hit somebody on a play in an offense that doesn't use the fullback, you should just leave right now.
Andy, there was a run play to the right one time and early in the game where Crowell looked at Schwartz. Schwartz ran right by the linebacker that tackled him. He's like, hit somebody. That's your job.
All right, Kenny. Sorry about that. We're ranting. Kenny, is that Kenny's audio that's that bad? It sounds like a toilet.
What's happening, fellas?
Oh,
What's
now
up,
we
buddy?
can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear him. We got him.
Maybe
What's going on,
kind of
buddy?
weird. All right, what are your thoughts this morning as we head into Kenny, it blows me away that people are excited and happy about the Browns today. Fact of the matter is they lost yesterday, but that doesn't seem to matter.
Guys, I watched yesterday's game. I was at the bar where I do trivia on Sundays, right?
JoJo.
I got to watch the Steelers play, the Ravens play, the Bengals play, and the Browns play all at the same time. Andy Dalton stunk yesterday. Ben Roethlisberger was horrible yesterday. Joe Flacco had an average game, and Brian Hoyer stunk yesterday. So all four quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the AFC North, battling for the division championship and for a playoff spot, maybe a wild card spot, they all stunk yesterday. You look at Roethlisberger's stats and see he threw for 400 and some yards, yeah, but that was garbage time after they fell behind by 3 touchdowns. Andy Dalton threw, at least two interceptions, maybe 3, and they barely won at Tampa Bay 14-13. So quarterbacks have bad games. Yes, Brian Hoyer has not played well the last 3 weeks, but they're 1-2 in those games, and they're still in the thick of this divisional race, this playoff race. I can't see how you turn over a playoff team right now, and this is a playoff team based on the standings in the AFC North. This is a playoff team, and I can't see how you turn it over to a rookie quarterback with 2 rookie running backs and a bunch of no-name wide receivers with the exception of Josh Gordon and expect to really contend for the playoffs. So if it's me, I'm starting Brian Hoyer, okay? I'm giving him an opportunity to start this next game, but if he performs poorly in that first quarter into the second quarter and the game's still within reach, then maybe I go to Johnny Manziel for the rest of that game and maybe the rest of the season. But I'm giving Hoyer one more chance, guys. And the analogy that Mike Pettin made yesterday in his post-game press conference, he said, like a hockey goalie, I figured I'd pull him to try and give us a spark. Well, guess what? When the Devils pull Marty Brodeur, they go back to him the next game. When the Penguins pull Marc-Andre Fleury in one game, they go back to him as the starter the next game. That's what they should do with Hoyer.
Kenny, he's another one of those. And excellent stuff that you said.
Wait, let me just make the hockey point. The reason you can go back to your goalie is because you have so many games. I mean, that's the reason why. That every goalie knows that if you're going to play 50 games, that they're probably only going to see 40 if they're the starter. So I think, when you're only playing 16 games, the hard part I'm having here, Kenny, is same old Browns. Same old Browns switch quarterbacks. They do. And, we're watching the same stuff, and if you go back and watch the game again, you see the flaws and you see the mistakes. Now, has Brian Hoyer been good, perfect? No, not even close. But there are issues there. And then the other thing that you brought up about with a rookie quarterback, rookie running backs, and a center that has, 15 minutes of experience in the NFL. Ridiculous. I don't know how you can expect that. That's my point, based on what you just said.
Terrence West, one of my concerns, I was doing my radio show, and we had Nathan Zagur on, and he was talking about Crowell and West, and they got rid of Ben Tate, and I said, are you not concerned about picking up blocks and these guys putting the ball on the carpet? And West did it twice yesterday, not once, but twice. The first time it was overturned. It was the right call, but it was a close call. Manziel had a great first series, but then what happened in the second series after the Bills got a taste of what he can do? He got sacked, fumbled the football, but the so-called arm moving forward saved him from a fumble and a touchdown. So it wasn't as if, Manziel led them on one touchdown drive, but the next time didn't look so hot. So for me, if they're going to play Johnny Manziel, what that's telling me is, you know what, guys, we don't think we're a playoff team, and we're going to give them experience to see what we have for next year. They stay with Hoyer at least to start. That tells me they still think they have a chance of making the playoffs.
If you're a playoff team and you think you're a playoff team, you can't have a short hook, though. You made a great point. Then you go around the AFC North. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but you just can't. I get what you're saying, but that's not what's going to happen to Roethlisberger, Dalton, any of those other guys. All, like you said, all those quarterbacks are bad.
Dalton, I mean,
Dalton was
horrible
awful yesterday.
Against the Browns, he was horrible.
I know.
Then he comes back and he wins. But you got to stay with your guy.
But they have Jason Campbell as the backup. That's not selling jerseys. That's not on commercials. That doesn't have ESPN hiring people just to follow their guy around. I get what you're saying, Kenny. And you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This situation isn't normal. And that kid, half the stadium, and whether it's right or wrong, half the stadium want that kid in there. And if the coach comes out on Wednesday and says, we're sticking with Brian Hoyer, he wins his locker room, no doubt. But when they walk out in that field, and like I said to Tim, let them get down 14-0. And whether it's Hoyer's fault or not, you get a real ugly situation, and we've all seen it.
What's more important, though, winning the locker room or winning the fans?
Winning the locker room.
If I'm Mike Pettine in my first year, what am I more concerned with? I'm more concerned with those guys in that locker room that I've been coaching all season long to a surprising 7-5 start. And that's where my allegiance is. That's where my loyalty is. And I give Brian Hoyer the opportunity to fail one more time. I give him that chance.
That's a great point.
And as long as the game is close, I'm sticking with Hoyer. If it really starts to separate, it's 10-0, it's 14-17-0, then okay, then maybe I go to Manziel, but I'm going with Hoyer to start.
Eric, the referee.
Is this strictly a Mike Pettine decision, do you think, on Wednesday?
It's funny you bring that up because I'm going to say something before Kenny answers. Sal Palantonio of ESPN did a great report yesterday, and he said he walked up to Ray Farmer, and Ray Farmer said that Johnny looked great on that one, and it gave a great spark. And then he goes, but the decision is Mike Pettine's. I laughed my rear end off when I heard that, Kenny.
Well,
here's one other point
too about JH3 and how much input he's going to have on this as well. It's going to be a meeting of the minds, and we're going to find out who really is in charge of this football team. Because I think if it's Mike Pettine's decision alone, he's going with Brian Hoyer. But the input from Ray Farmer and Jimmy Haslam III, then we'll see if Johnny football starts. We'll know who really had the final say.
Hey, did anybody watch Fox pregame show yesterday? Did you see it? Did you see what Jay Glazer said?
Jay Glazer said that they were going
to. Jay Glazer kind of tipped his hat to Johnny Manziel that you kind of knew that
he was going to play.
I thought it was interesting. Jay Glazer knew yesterday a little bit.
I kind of knew too, though. I said before the game, I go, this is a game where you're going to end up seeing the other quarterback. It was a bad matchup. That's the thing that bothers me about us. If you looked at these two teams, you knew it was a bad matchup for the Browns. You knew their defensive line was going to push them around. But then the game starts and we see it and we lose it. He's been bad for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I get it. But that was a bad matchup for the Browns' offensive line. And I don't think the offensive coordinator has been great the last 2-3 weeks either, Kenny, to be completely honest.
I agree with you. And what has really upset the apple cart the last 2 weeks, guys? What's the different factor the last 2 weeks?
Josh
Gordon. What did they target him? 12 times yesterday, 16 the previous week, and they're obviously not on the same page. And you heard Tim talk about a couple of the routes that Josh ran that he and Hoyer weren't on the same page, and it maybe wasn't Hoyer's fault. So I think you have to factor in that all of a sudden Josh Gordon is back, and the offense, even though they won last week and he had a nice game, the offense has struggled mightily at times. So this is a delicate situation. Here's the thing. If you go to Johnny Manziel, you're going to him for the last 4 games.
Yeah.
And you're playing the Colts next week, the Cincinnati Bengals the week after that, 2 playoff teams, right?
Yep.
Then you've got a game at Carolina where you might win but then you close out at Baltimore. If you start Johnny Manziel, in my opinion, you're losing 3 of the last 4 games.
Eric, the referee. Kenny, you have some keys too, don't you?
Yeah, one more question for you guys.
Sure.
Do you guys see this Brian Hoyer thing now that he's gotten, 11, 12 starts? Is it like the Derek Anderson situation? Are teams finally starting to see what Brian Hoyer is all about and keying in? I mean, Derek Anderson led the Browns to 10-6. Then teams started to figure out that what he couldn't and can do, and look where he ended up.
Here's what you got. 2 rookie running backs, a center that he's never stepped on the field before. You've got another rookie offensive lineman. You've got no tight ends. And you've got a wide receiver that just got put back in the mix that's running wrong routes and is lazy on some of his running.
And I'll say this. Derek Anderson didn't have success whether or not the team ran the football or not. The year Derek Anderson had success, as long as he had his 3 receivers, his 3 guys, they went up and down the field. All year long, the Browns' problem has been when they run the football, that offense clicks. When they don't run the football, it looks like crap.
Kenny, give me your keys from yesterday.
Well, one of the keys was you got to be able to run the football, okay? And I think that was important with Hoyer. He needs that play action pass. That's what he is very good at. He ball fakes very, very well, but you can't turn the football over. And that's the biggest key in any game, really, when you look at it. You can't fumble the football. You can't throw interceptions because that's the biggest momentum changer in any football game. And the Browns yesterday, Billy Cundiff misses a 37-yard field goal. To me, that's a turnover. That was the first turnover of the game. Hoyer's first interception that happened in the second quarter. Again, it didn't hurt him. It didn't cost him, but it didn't allow them to put points on the board. It was picked off, at the 46. Terrence West with that fumble in the third quarter. I read an article on FoxSports.com. The Browns gave up 14 points in 10 seconds. It went from a 3-0 lead to a 14-3 deficit in the third quarter after the Bills score, and then West puts the ball on the ground. So for me, the turnovers are the biggest key, and you got to score touchdowns, not field goals, when you're in the red zone, and that has been a problem all season for the Browns. And it's some of that, is it on Hoyer? Yes, but not all of it's on Hoyer when you look at the surrounding cast. And a balanced offense, and it goes back to not being able to run the football. You have to be able to run it, to throw it in this offense with Brian Hoyer.
All right, Kenny, I got to ask you one question, and it's off Browns topic. Where is Ohio State tomorrow night in the poll, in the college football poll?
I originally thought they would be number 5, but after seeing the AP poll, the USA Today poll, where they dropped them below Baylor this week, that tells me that those voters don't think they're as good a football team with Cardale Jones at quarterback, and that's why they dropped him. So with Barrett out with that injury, it wouldn't shock me if they stay at 6 and Baylor leapfrogs them to number 5 and TCU moves up to number 4. So they're going to have to play well with Cardale Jones and win that game convincingly next week if they're going to have any chance of being one of the Final 4 teams. It's not looking good right now.
But Kenny, nothing really changed. They had to go to Indianapolis regardless and look good with Cardale before they were going to be in the top 4.
I think but it's easier for the playoff committee to say, okay, they've got a Heisman candidate here. This kid they've really shaken off.
Absolutely.
I think ultimately it's still Virginia Tech is the reason why they are where they are.
Well, no doubt, because it's the only loss. But if they go there and they score 40 points and they hold Gordon under 100 yards, they'll be in the playoff game.
I agree with that.
It's no doubt in my mind that that's what will happen.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It's just hard for me not to look at that Ohio State banner and talk to you, Kenny, not want to talk Ohio State. Sorry, bud.
It's all right, no problem.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Kenny. All right, let's, what are we going to do here? What do you want to do, Eric, the referee? Howie Smith?
Howie. Is that where we're going?
Is that where you want to go? All right, let's go to Howie Smith, who's right there in the middle of the thick of things over in Pennsylvania on the other side of the border. Hey, Howie, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
You know what? It is what it is. I'm just trying to figure out if this is same old Browns. I mean, if it's time to start talking about the draft for next year, that's coming. Let's be honest.
Let's not do that.
Now, we're going to get a shitty pick now.
What?
We're going to get a shitty pick now.
You tell them. No, we're going to have back-to-back picks. We're going to have like the 17th and 18th pick now. You know that, right?
Yeah, we didn't help Buffalo.
No.
So watch Buffalo go out and make the playoffs, and we got troubles. Look, if it is what it is, it's almost like I want them to kind of turn the page and say, we're going to throw Manziel out there. Please don't expect anything else for the rest of the season. Because he's a rookie. Yeah. No matter how great he is, he's still a rookie quarterback dealing with a center that you've never used before, and you've got all these factors here. In some ways, it's not fair to Johnny.
It's not fair. It's not fair because think about the expectations. All right, Howie, and see, this is why I like the range of people we talk to. On Twitter, it's a younger, it's a younger group of people. They're Johnny, to the end. What do you think they should do? As a fan, you've watched a lot of Browns games. What would make you happy as a fan, Howie?
It's got to be Hoyer for at least another week, maybe 2. He's earned it. I hear everybody saying, "Well, he's a career backup. He's a backup." It's like, well, you know what? He backed up Tom Brady. You're not going to start in New England. He's done a good job, like Couch said earlier. He's won 7 games. Nobody expected that going into this season. Nobody. So I think you got to stay with him, give him another week. I think they need to put Manziel into some packages, though. Let him get on the field, change of pace, do something. Get imaginative. For God's sakes, Pettin scores 3 points against the defense that he designed.
Yeah.
That's a great point. All right, let's put you on the clock. You want to be on the clock?
Go for it. That
right.
Swiss movement, right?
Yeah, well, here, and we'll show you the clock here. Let's fire up the Twitter.
I thought Andre was going to use a stopwatch.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it. It didn't work.
All right, we do have
well,
our high-tech Swiss-made clock ready to go. Do we need to courtesy anyone on that clock there?
Yeah, that big bag of air that we're giving out.
What's the name of the website in case you ever need a big clock? Timer.online.net. And don't forget, you can use PayPal or any other one of these great credit card companies that are on the bottom of the screen. Can you like it on Facebook? Yeah, you can like it on Facebook. You got to lose the super so I can figure out all those other places to make fun of on there. But anyways, all right, Howie, you are on the clock in 3, 2. Where? Come on, man. Stop.
Oh, man, that's fine. We're going.
All right,
anyway,
ready?
like
3,
I said, for God's
2,
sakes, Pettin,
go.
you built the Bills' defense. What? Starting over.
Go.
Okay. Pettin, you built the Bills' defense. For God's sakes, tell Shanahan what the secret is to beating them, exploit them, do something. The other thing, and this is going to be whining, but these officials suck. Every time we get this crew, it seems like the Browns end up chewing on the shitty end of the stick. The guy came in and speared Barnage, what was his name, Williams, in the pile, no penalty. They must have misspotted that one ball by 1.5 yards to give him a first down. They just blow. Cundiff, for some reason, seemed to be doing his Scott Norwood imitation, wide right. I can't take that anymore. And I must have missed the headshot that Hoyer took earlier in the game because at some point, making decisions became impossible for the man. I'm supporting him, but he's really got to do it, get the short pass game going, and stop throwing to the guys that are wearing uniforms like the Patriots used to wear. Maybe that was the confusion. I'm done.
Wow, nice shot.
Good job,
There's a late buzzer on that.
Yeah, that was a good job.
We are so high-tech on it. Hang on, I'll give the buzzer again.
Good job.
Hang on,
I gotta love the clock.
Woof, woof, woof. Chef.
Well done, Howie. Well done.
Thank you.
It's the big funding we have, and our pre-show meetings that we have,
Yeah.
too. Do you know how many hours we spend in pre-show meetings for this?
Hours.
I mean, it is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe the
Probably
investment
days.
made in this show.
Probably days.
All right, Howie, thank you.
Don't let those Pittsburgh people mess with you. They look like crap yesterday, too.
Well, yeah, they did. So we'll see what happens. We gotta put it to the Colts, or we're dead meat.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing. One game.
Hey, can we make a request to the NFL to be in the NFC South, please?
No.
Yeah, okay, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's good enough the Indians got into the Central. You want
Hey,
more?
Modell sold us out for $3 million to go over to the AFC. Come on.
Hey, let me ask you this, Howie.
Yeah.
And I'll ask all you guys.
Sure.
Somebody emailed me this during the week that they would rather have Buffalo in the AFC North than Baltimore. Now, I said no way because of the history of Baltimore. And really, and I know we hate to admit this, but for the Steelers, they love the Baltimore rivalry because it's just an extension of what the Browns rivalry was with them. Would you guys rather have Buffalo in the AFC North?
I would rather have Buffalo.
Okay. All right.
I would rather. I've gone to too many games in Baltimore, and honestly, those fans are bigger pricks than the ones in Philadelphia.
He's right. It's crazy in
They
Baltimore.
really are.
You know what's
You would think they'd have some empathy for us,
Right.
Because they had a team taken away also.
You're absolutely right.
Well, here's the other line that makes me think, too, that did you see how many Browns fans were at that game
it was
yesterday?
awesome. Yeah.
That kind of makes me think that, too.
The road trip, you think about it. You just go up 90. Pittsburgh is close. Cincinnati would be a little far. But you really would have a division where you could get in a car and you could see all, you could go to all the games.
What about Detroit? I mean, if you're going to keep throwing things out. I mean, if you're in Cincinnati, do you not want Indy in?
Indy and Cincy.
If you're Cincinnati, wouldn't you want Indy in there?
I can see what you're saying, but Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, 3 cities that are a lot alike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That are really close to each other. I think it'd be fun to do that every year.
So we'll get rid of Baltimore?
I would love to, but
Please.
I always say please. You know,
Never know. Hey, NHL changes all the time. Hey, if the Big Ten can go away from the legends and the
Champions? What was it?
the legends and leaders.
Leaders.
If the Big Ten can do that and be the Big Ten with 12 or 15 teams or
so
whatever they
18,
have, who
27,
cares?
however many fucking teams they have.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's still the Littleton. They got like 18 teams, but it's the Littleton to me. Good stuff, Howie.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Howie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, thank you, everybody, utilizing the no rules.
Yes.
Hey, I got to tweet
That's what
this out.
happens. Yeah, go ahead. What are you tweeting
Wow,
out?
no rules in full effect today on
They
the show.
are truly in full effect. Now Eric, is the referee over there? What are your thoughts? I'm going to ask you your thoughts for once. What are your thoughts about it?
Who cares?
Yeah, I know. We're letting you tweet out. Now, don't use the words everybody else has been using, but would you want the Bills in AFC North to get rid of Baltimore?
I would, because we've always struggled against Baltimore. I think
We had such a loose-
strictly for the Browns. I mean,
That's such a loser
It's a
mentality.
loser mentality.
I mean,
Yeah, they kick
seriously.
our butt. Yeah, let's get rid of them.
I mean, I remember those game that game like a couple years ago where the Browns beat the Bills like 6-3.
Oh, yeah. That was 2006, I think, in the bad
Whoever
weather.
the quarterback was like 2-16, and we still won.
That was one of the coldest games. That snow was so heavy. Yeah, we always do have weird games.
We
against
play Buffalo every year, though, anyways. don't
We basically do. We did for a couple of years back. Remember, we had Mangini's year was one of the worst games I ever was at, where it was just a punt fest. I mean, we did this stat last night. Do you know how bad both teams were on third down yesterday?
They were 0 for 13.
They were 0 for 13 to start the game.
And then you know when they needed their third downs, they got them. At the
Yeah,
end.
the Browns defense played really well. Where's Todd at that was killing me about Joe Hayden for the first month of the season? He's probably going right back to the Pro Bowl 3 weeks in a row with interception, blocks a field goal. The shoe salesman came to play yesterday, and I'm not talking about Josh Gordon.
Hey, all right, let's go to Steelers Gab, and then we're going to go to Tim Couch
Loaded.
after that. So.